back to another episode of Top Knox. I'm your girl Shell, and I'm super excited about today. If you're new to the family, go ahead and like, share, subscribe, and also hit the bell so that you can get notifications for when we post new content. So today we're just gonna have a little girl chat, okay? And we have a special guest, and I'm so excited about having her here with us today. Like, guys, she is like on fire, okay? She is on fire. So look, she's like, ah. Listen, she's on fire, okay? And so without further ado, I'm just gonna go ahead and introduce our special guest, Mrs. Destiny Sadler. Woo!
What's going on?
Hey, girl.
Hey, girl, hey.
But anyways, we have Mrs. Destiny Sadler, y'all. This is my happy dance. Hey.
Hey.
Hey. Okay. So guys, I met Destiny at a Century Women's event, and honestly, like after everything was over with, they had like other stuff going on, other activities, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna scoop my way out. I'm just gonna ease on out. And then Destiny and Laura, right? They came up and they started talking to me or whatever, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna stick around. They're kind of cool. I'm gonna stick around. But when I first met Destiny, the first thing that I said was, man, her skin is. And I still say that. I was like, look at her skin. It is flawless, y'all. Y'all can see, y'all see. So that was my first encounter with Destiny. And then we start following each other on Facebook and everything. And I start watching her videos. And I was like, man, this girl is so confident. She is. And when I say girl, I'm not trying to be funny, y'all, okay?
I know.
But I was like, she is so confident and like she just exudes like positivity. Like no matter what she's facing, she's just like always, whenever I hear her or see her on live or whatever, I'm like, man, even in her bad days, y'all to be like, how can you be positive even when you're not having a good day? So that's my little spiel on Destiny, y'all. Okay, y'all gonna love her too once y'all hear her talk and speak and everything. Y'all gonna be like, man, that girl is on fire. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Destiny, just if you will, just tell the little people a little about you. Give us a little.
Okay. My name is Destiny Sadler. I'm originally from Houston, Texas. I grew up there, love Houston, and then I went to Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, go Jags. And after I left there, and I majored in elementary education, and then I moved to Atlanta, where I taught for 9 years in the public school district. I taught kindergarten, second, third, and fourth. And then I got my dream job of becoming an educational consultant, where I traveled the country and helped schools out with reading and disciplinary actions and leadership and just working with different school districts. And right before I got that job, I met my now husband. And we got married and we had a baby, and then all of those wonderful career plans came to a screeching halt. And I moved to Montgomery, Alabama, and we decided it would be best for me to stay home for our family, those kind of things. So I ended up staying home, but then I felt like there was still like this longing to do something else. You know what I mean? Just didn't know exactly what. So I did delve back into education, have my own educational consulting business. And then I also fell in love with a company, Lime Life by Alcone, because of just the ingredients in their skincare. I was like, yes, sign me up. And it has catapulted me into this world of social media and inspiring and helping and finding out, going back to those roots of where I was when I was happier and, trying to find the groove with being a mom and a wife and a businesswoman. So that is where I am today. Short version of it all.
Okay. So as you guys can see, Destiny is like, she has a lot going on, y'all. She's a wife. She's a mom.
Yes.
She's a business owner.
Yes.
You said you're still doing consulting education?
I am, not as much. If you were to ask me what's the big scheme of things, I would love for my Lime Life to take off so much that I'm able to go into school districts, especially Montgomery public school districts, for free, ultimately, just to offer my services because of the school district and what's here. So that's like the end goal. Right now, Lime Life has afforded me to be able to stay home with my kids, still do what I need to do with them and be present, but still have something for me and bring home some money too. So,
Yeah.
yes.
So you guys, she has a lot going on. So Destiny, how do you juggle all of that?
Yee, juggle. What's that? What are you talking about? Juggle. What do you mean? No. Somebody asked me the other day, they were like, and now this little piece of hair is getting on my nerves. Somebody asked me the other day, how do you balance it all? And I've come to the realization of talking to some older women and just, my own personal story, that there is never a balance, like ever. Like there's never a balance. And I think what we always think that it has to be some type of balance, right? But if you think about it, it's always, something's gonna always have to give. But it changes each day. So the goals might be balanced, what you foresee in each area of your life. But I've learned that there is no true balance. Some days I'm a great wife, right? Like I'm just on it. Like, I'm checking in with David. I'm making sure he's good. The house, food, all that stuff is good. And then other days, I don't even notice that he's here. I'm like focused on something else, right? Like that's just how it goes. And then other days, or even by hour, I'm a great mom this hour. You guys got fed, you're full. Mommy's fully present. And then that next hour, I'm checked out. You know what I'm saying? So I've learned to give myself grace and know that there is never going to be a balance. And or it all fits in. But I've learned the secret is to understand where you are at different spaces and know that you can pivot at any time, right? Like, okay, today I wasn't on it with the kids. Tomorrow, I'm going to make sure it's a priority that I actually go outside with y'all, or whatever the case may be. So no, there is no perfect balance, but I have learned to give myself grace and understand that the balances can be off.
Yeah, that's a good tip, is to give yourself some grace, because I feel like we do be hard on ourselves. We sometimes will be like, oh, I didn't nail it today, but giving yourself grace is good. It's effective. It helps you to kind of like hone in and realize that, okay, I may have missed the mark today, but I'll eventually get it.
Yeah.
So balance too. There's really, and I like that, because me, like I always I always want things like here, here, and here. I'm like, okay, this needs to level out. It needs to work the way that I need it to work. And when you said that there's really no balance because something's gonna always have to give, I'm like, I never thought of it that way. So that's a good perspective to have too. Like it's something's gonna give, something's gonna take. You have to just, you never know which is gonna do which. Hey, cuties.
Go ahead. Go close. Where's Daddy? Well, where's Daddy? Go with Daddy. Is Daddy here?
Mommy, so what time is nap time?
Go.
Okay, listen, I am used to that, okay? Because if my kids are here, they will be doing the same thing.
The door was closed. Y'all see? The door was closed. I actually was like, woo, all right, I can have my time. Boom, here we go.
No, now we can't. Look, your time.
My
their time is their time, and their
door is closed. They could care less.
Okay, so we were, giving yourself grace and learning that they're really, something's gonna have to give, something's gonna have to take.
Yes.
So how, like, on a day-to-day, how do you make sure that with all that you have going on day-to-day, how do you make sure that you are not just being completely pulled in one direction?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've actually like mastered that yet. Although I will say this. So what I do usually on either a Saturday or a Sunday, it used to be Thursday before the pandemic. I was able to step away from our house and sit down and focus on like what my week would look like. Now I just kind of on a Saturday or Sunday, I kind of sit down and I see and I block my times off. And I'm a visual person. I don't have my calendar here, but I'm a visual person. So I have to see like what my entire day is going to look like. And then I have to promise myself, which is very hard, not to get distracted and go down the rabbit hole of something else, right? Because I can be like, okay, and it's pretty much the same. Like in the morning, I start with devotional, and then like I'll have a block for breakfast, and then I'll have like maybe an hour for my business. And then, I'll leave some time in between because I've learned too that if you have stuff blocked, well, for me, if I have stuff blocked off and then I don't hit it, or if something goes over, I used to be like, okay, no, I need to do this now because this is what you said. And I'm like, Destiny, you're going to drive yourself up a wall. Like you've got to be able to be like, you know what? I didn't finish this today, or it's going to take me a little bit more time to do that, and it's okay, right? But usually I block off my time for the entire week. And I have like different calls with my team and different things like that. So I'll block those times off, and then they also know that too. So blocking and planning, putting it on paper. I try to do stuff on my phone. I'm really like old school when it comes to stuff like writing stuff down, like physically writing it down. So I still like to block my time out on my calendar for the week.
Yeah, I like doing it too. I tried the phone thing also, but I'd rather just write it down. And just have it here. Because my husband's like, hey, you could just put those things in your notes on your phone, and you could just, go to it. And I'm like, yeah, but it helps me when I write it down. It makes it, I don't know, it makes it really real for me when I'm able to write it out. So that's a good tip, you guys. With all the technology we have, it's good and everything, but sometimes old school is a little bad.
I believe so too. I believe in the power of writing too. I almost kind of think of it as like my letters to God sometimes. And like he can really now y'all know he hears us whatever, right? Like even if we don't say anything, he already knows what's on our heart. But like I feel like when I write it down, especially if I've got like some like emotional like turmoil or pull, like I don't feel like I'm all the way normal. Writing it down and getting those thoughts out on paper helped me process what's going on and really feel it. I think as women, sometimes we get to the point where we feel like we can push stuff under the rug, if that makes sense. Like you don't have time to feel that right now. Like you've got to get back on it. And realistically, the only way to grow is to actually understand what you're feeling and why you're feeling it is a big thing too. And that's a process. That's something that I've been working on. I know for when I moved here, literally I was pregnant, got a new job, got married, and moved to a new city all in like a year. And that took me mentally to a place that I was just like, something's not right. Like I'm not myself. And it took me going to therapy for her to be like, I need you, because I didn't realize all that stuff happened in a year. I mean, I knew it was going on, but I didn't know how to verbalize, whoa, this is a lot. Usually this stuff happens once every 2 years or whatever, but this happened like back to back to back to back to back. And I had to really work through those feelings to be like, okay, this is why I'm feeling this. And now what can I do to make it better?
Okay. So, with all of that, like you were saying, that all of these things happen in a year. And within that, do you feel like you kind of lost touch of destiny?
Yes.
And tell us about that.
Yeah. So I always tell people when I moved to Atlanta, and whenever I'm talking to younger girls or girls that are really ready to like get married, I always say, make sure you have your own first. And the reason why I say that is because when I moved to Atlanta, I felt like I became a woman. And when I say that, I'm saying I knew what I liked. I knew what I didn't like. I knew where I lived, because I lived by myself. So I knew what I liked to live with, what I didn't like to live with. You know, like I really started to understand who I was as a woman. And so when I moved here, and then there's a big thing that we like to talk about, or some of us like to talk about, are these things called expectations, right? We have all these expectations for any area of your life, whether you're single and you're looking to get married, the expectation of you should be married at this certain time, or you should be doing this by a certain age, or you should have these degrees, but like all these expectations that we put on ourselves. And that's where I was at the expectation of, finally, y'all, getting my dream job. Like this was ultimately what I loved to do. Traveling into different schools and motivating teachers. Like that's my jam. To getting married, something that I've always wanted, to having a baby, which is something I've always wanted, and then moving to a new city with my new husband, and this is going to be a brand new start, and all of these things, and it came crashing in all at once. I remember literally like just kind of sitting there in our other house, and like, what is going on? Like looking around, like, this is something that you've always wanted, though. Mm-hmm. This is what you said you wanted, but still feeling like, but I'm not happy right now. Like this isn't. So it took my mom, really. And that's what I think it's really important for you to have, like a strong group of women, friends that you can be honest with, or that can check you, because it was my mom that came to me and was like, I don't want you going down this hole of motherhood, because she had been there. And so she said, like, you need to find something that whether it's tennis lessons, or you tell David to go, watch the baby for an hour, but you need something for yourself that you can just kind of release and do something for you. And so I started walking, or I did tennis lessons for a little while. And then I started going to the therapist to talk to her about my feelings and where I was at that time, because it's always good to have a non-biased opinion about what's going on in your life. Yes, my mom was there. Yes, my best friends were there. Yes, David was there, but it was still helpful to kind of delve some things out with somebody else. So at that time, it just didn't feel, I knew I wasn't myself. I didn't know what it was. I knew something was off. I just didn't know what it was. And it could have, some people say it could have possibly been postpartum depression, which is something that we don't talk about a lot either. Well, it's a little bit relevant now, or more mainstream. It could have been part of that. I actually dealt with a little bit of that after, I want to say Daniel, our third child. I remember calling in to the doctor's office and saying, like, something's not right. And I bust out crying. I was like, something's not right. And I just don't feel myself. She told me, she literally word by word told me, well, your baby is 8 months. You're past the part of having postpartum depression. You probably need to call your regular physician. I was like, I would never want to tell a mom that. Like, how do you tell her that at 8 months postpartum? And so thankfully I was in the place at that time. Now, if that would have happened with Dennis, I don't know what would have happened. But at this point, third kid, I'm like, okay, Destiny, you got to go talk to somebody. So I went back to the therapist at that point. But it was just like, I knew like that lady, and I called the office and, told them what happened, and she got talked to, whatever. But it's getting to the point in your life where you know how you're feeling, and you're able to check that. And that's a process. That's a process for us as women. It's an ongoing process, especially when I talk to older women. It's something that we need to check in regularly, though, because what can happen is you can keep going and going and going, and then you're grinding and you're doing what you feel you need to do, and then you end up like, where am I at right now? And not really understanding what that feeling feels like. And taking the time to process that is extremely important.
Yeah. So 2 things. One thing that is, it is important for us to get to know ourselves, to have something for ourselves. just as people, you know, because you can get lost in all of that stuff. It's because I can relate to it, because that happened to me. I got married, I had our first child, you know, we moved in, we just, you know, got our house or whatever. And then I remember still looking like something is missing, and I was missing. I was missing because I didn't know, you know, me. You know, I didn't have anything for me. Everything was revolved around other people and other things, but I didn't have something just for me.
Yes.
So that's important. And point two, therapy. You mentioned therapy. A lot of people see that as being taboo for some reason. I don't know why, you know, because like you said, it's good to have somebody that's not like connected like that to you. So because sometimes people are so close to you that they, you know, that they automatically just, oh well, maybe it's just this and maybe that's just that. But the therapist has like a full view almost, because she's not biased, or she, whomever, is not biased, and they're gonna be upfront and honest with you.
Right.
So, you know, therapy like is nothing to be ashamed about. You know, it's not taboo. It's helpful.
Very, very helpful.
Yes, it's helpful. So, you know, I just want to put that out there about, you know, just if you need to talk to somebody, you need to go to therapy, please go. Okay. Don't be ashamed. And you don't have to announce it to the world. It's none of their business. It's your business. It's what you're doing for you, and it's not for anybody else.
Right.
So I just want to put that out there.
Yes.
So this, okay, tell us about your journey on, as far as, when did you realize, you know, what brought Destiny happiness? Like, how did it all transpire? I know, you know, once everything happened, you got married, you had kids, you moved to a new city, you know, all of these things were going on. You had your dream job or whatever, but you still felt kind of like incomplete, or maybe, you know, just not yourself, you know, looking for something else. So what transpired that made you realize like, oh, this is what I need to do? You know, this is it right here. This is, you know, kind of filling that void almost.
So what happened was, so after I had Dennis, I had a daughter, and I never realized this until I actually sat down and started thinking about it. But it was something about after I had Daily that it just clicked in me, like, you got to do it, like some kind of business or something. And part of now that I'm like talking about it out loud, it kind of, I wonder if it was more so like, I want her not to feel like how I'm feeling right now, like to think like, okay, you stay home, you cook, you clean, and that's it, you know, because that's where I was at that point with her, or in my own thought process. So I started the educational consulting business, and I was doing some pre-K work and doing some professional development here in Alabama. But it still took me away from my babies. Like, I still had to either find a sitter, see what David's schedule is like. And David works a lot, and his schedule is very up and down. It's all over the place. There is no set schedule. So I always felt like I was saying, hey, what you doing? Do you have time? And y'all, that gets on my nerves. Oh, I'm like, are you able to? Like, that whole scenario, right? And like, I did it for a while. Like, let me just be honest. Like, I did it for a while, but then I'm just like, gosh, there's got to be something else, right? So it's almost like, you know, you pray, right? Like, Lord Jesus, something's not right. And I feel like he knew that though. And so with all that, I saw a girl applying some mascara on Facebook. It looked pretty cool to me. So I said, let me go ahead and purchase that. And as I'm looking through her website, I see that there's skincare and there's makeup. And I do my research on the company and find out it's a professional Alcone was a professional makeup brand that professionals use. Like, it's well known in the pro community. And then I kind of started doing a little bit more, and I was like, you know what? And I looked at the ingredients in the skincare, because I've always been a skincare girl. I used to work at Clinique, like that's how much, and I used to Clinique all in middle school and high school, right? So I tend to try to, no ma'am, no, mommy's on, go in there. Well, if you're gonna be here, be really, really quiet. I don't sit on that though, because that makes noise. Come sit over here. So like I went to go work for Clinique when I was in college. Like, I've always been a skincare girl. So I just decided to jump on and just try this company, right? I'd never gone live. I'd never done anything like this on social media before. I've always been pretty positive with my close friends, but if you didn't really know me, you didn't really see me too much talking about all this all the time. So it was all the joy in the journey, pretty much. And so then I went live that one day. Daniel was 1 month. I remember it was in this room, actually. He was on the bed and he had the biggest poop, y'all. Like, it came up the back of the clothes, all on his leg as I'm doing this live. And I'm like, oh gosh, is this a sign? Like, I shouldn't be doing this. But then I was like, you know what? Heck no. And I just started being unapologetically who I am. You know, like, I'm just like,
yes.
Y'all.
Unapologetically you.
Yes, yeah. Like, and that's what it is. And I mean, yes, more people get to see it. It's funny because a lot of my friends and family is like, this is who you've always been. And I was like, I know, but everybody hasn't always seen this side of me. Mm-hmm. And as that journey has happened, so many women have either joined the journey with me, or I've met them out and we've talked about their own business plans and where they